was won in court rather than at the ballot box. So this really has shifted a lot of focus for Nigerians, and it has undermined, the integrity of judges, over electoral processes that we have today. And lastly, that has created also a vacuum, where there's little or no accountability for our judges to deliver results. All their results are questioned, and this has allowed for impunity to flourish, especially within, politically sensitive cases, as far as. But I want to say that while we're enumerating on this, and before I let one or two people also come in for us to have some debate before we start asking Honorable Benedict Etanabene questions on what he has done, what are the details of his bill, and how he's able to scale it through the first reading. I want to say that if you have a transparent, a credible, and maybe a technologically sound electoral process, what it does is that it reduces the number of post-election court cases. That's the truth. It minimizes judicial burden, and that's why it's important for us to first and foremost reform. Because you see, judiciary is before you have to do electoral reform first. It is the gaps that we have in the electoral rules, guidelines, and regulations that allows for, judicial interpretation or whatever the case may be. So it is important that we reduce the number or completely obliterate, court cases where elections are concerned, if possible. And also, the moment we're able to ensure that we get electoral, some of reforms to a particular high level, what it does is that it also, it helps to, how do I put it now? It helps, it builds confidence, and also it builds, the participatory, people become, they want to participate, when elections are visibly free, fair, and citizens can see and trust the system. I'm telling you, out of the 94 million voters we have in Nigeria, not only will it increase above 100, but the participation, we'll begin to experience the kind of thing they have in Indonesia, where you have 204 million registered voters. I was in Indonesia, and I was there and also participated just a few months ago in asking the INEC chairman, that why in the last election they had 81% participation, meaning that close to 190, 180 million people came out to participate in the election, So it's important, the strength that it gives the institutions, and it also will reduce electoral fraud and the triggering of the unrest that we have. So we must ensure, because I'm saying this so that we are clear, so there's not something, because when you're trying to do electoral reform, others are saying, no, it's judicial reform. Others are saying, yes, I know that even if we do electoral reform, people will still break the law. But that does not mean that we shouldn't discuss and continue to push and refine what is there and close all the loopholes, because it will continue to strengthen us. Both electoral reform, judicial reform, people reform, security reform, all kinds of reforms that we need. They're all very important. Reforming elections without reforming judiciary means electoral fraud may still, be validated even in court. So you see why, it is important to reform, because reforming the judiciary without fixing the electoral reform means that courts will remain overburdened with election disputes. And so it's important to ensure that the processes of choosing our leaders, which is, through electoral reform, is not just, a mechanism for dispute as has become in the case in Nigeria, but that one that will enable us to be able to get, you know, verdicts right from the polling booths. So this is why we're here today to continue this conversation. If you have questions and you want to come up, yeah, you will come up. Bolanle, I don't know if you found Pastor Oaks. I'm looking for him because he is they had a meeting in Abuja just a few days ago where he hosted Falana, Dr. Yunus Otanko, Shehu Sani, and other dignitaries. You can see I'm trying to look for him so that we can ask him some questions and what he's doing with this group. And yeah,
Unfortunately, I can't see
you
him.
can see him.
I can't see him at the moment. But going on from what you've said about it, I mean, when you get to a point where the citizens are not allowed to choose their own leaders, right, then obviously it's a slippery slope. And that's where we find ourselves, where people go out to vote with the hope that they, can change leadership if they feel that they've not lived up to what they promised, right? But unfortunately, this is not happening in Nigeria. So I get the argument about, I mean, we definitely need electoral reform, because when you think about it, right, as good as it was to have the Electoral Act, obviously there are loopholes, right? And sometimes it is only when you actually um see it actively being quoted and being put into play that you get to know whether those loopholes exist. And clearly there are some where the language is ambiguous, where there's some gaps, and where people are able to, thwart the process. So clearly we need electoral reforms. But I also see the argument for judicial reforms, right? Because it's almost as if some of the interpretations that they've given is like, it doesn't, even to a layman who, has no legal background, it just perverse. It's perverse because you read the clear reading of the act, and you're thinking, what? And we saw that being played out, that judges unfortunately were able to turn the constitution on its head and effectively render the Electoral Act null and void. And I think that's the argument that people are making, that yes, we need electoral reform, but we also need judicial reform. We shouldn't be, and I like what you said already, that we shouldn't have to go to court, right, for, when after the election. If it was tight, if the Electoral Act was tight and all the provisions were there, right, it makes it less likely, because if you as a candidate see that, look, I contested this election and all of this was followed, right, and I didn't get the number of votes, right, they're less likely to want to go and challenge it. Is it because it's like none of it's being followed, they're doing whatever they like, the openly rigging, causing insecurity in some areas, violence so that the elections don't hold, all sorts of things. So I hear both arguments, but I feel like both are really important. Really, really important. And for a lot of obedience, this has been their stance, that, let's not talk about 2027 until we fix this. Right. So I'm glad that we're having these conversations. They're really important for us to have, but also obviously to see all the stuff that we're doing. As you know, things are being worked on. A lot of people are, the Peters there spoke to our senator, Senator Kingwe, and all of it. So yes, I mean, I like that we're having these conversations. And yeah, that's all I have to say for the time being. Let me mute.
Thank you, Madam Bolanle, for that. I think that's a very important input and contribution you have given us there. Please, could you look for Pastor Oaks? I believe, yes, his handle is so that we need to just inquire from him what he's done. Once again, I want to say, for those who are here for the first time, this is a conversation we've been having on the electoral reform in Nigeria. A few days ago, we engaged with Senator Ireti Kingibe, who is member of committee for the electoral reform at the Senate. And today we're very happy. I remember last year we had a big event on electoral reform where Honorable Ben Etanabene, played a very big role. There were just two of them that came, and we here in Abuja, and he did answer some question. It was one of the big eye opener for us, and I want to say that he's one of those House of Reps member who are really pushing, are working very hard, tenaciously. While others are sleeping, we must give kudos and praise those and encourage them. And because his bill is gone beyond the first reading, and I mean that's something for us to celebrate and and encourage, because there is the reason for this conversation is because it's important for us to. There is the conversation with Ireti Kingibe. She gave her own advice in terms of what we need to do, as a people, where is our own responsibility, what we need to do. And we had a very frank conversation, on that. And it was important for some of the advice we took, and the ones that we felt that it's our own part to play, we were very clear, and we told her exactly that that's citizens' call. So those sort of balance, this is what democracy is made up of, And for many who wouldn't even answer our call and even, do anything regarding what the citizens, are looking for. But Honorable Ben is here with us. I just want us to get Pastor Oaks here so that he can tell us more about the event they had. Madmo, go ahead.
Yeah, Doctor, sent the link to Pastor Oaks. I know he might be on the space and might not see him. So it's actually it's in his DM as we speak. So you should just click on the link, then automatically you'll be able to come up on the mic.
It's quite, I don't know if he will be able to. Some of those people are new to this space.
Hello,
Let
good
me
evening.
see if I can can you
Good evening to everyone.
just yeah, honorable, just give me a second. Let me see. I'll call you up now. Just hold on. We're just trying to get Pastor Oaks up. Anyway, while we're trying to search for him, thank you, Honorable Abayomi. Please go ahead and make your input while we. I see that you are an incoming senator, Ogun State Senatorial District. Well, let's give us 2 minutes of your intro quickly regarding this. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Yeah. What I am seeing about our country, is it possible to change or to revive the country without the overhauling of everybody in the system. Judiciary alone is in the highest of everything in the country. Talk less of the presidency. Talk less of the other offices, other public offices. So to me, I'm thinking that
Bolale, can you hear Bayomi, or
I
is
thought
it
it
my
was me.
network?
I was just going to unmute to
Wow.
ask you. No, we've lost. I can't hear him. I cannot.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Anyway, it's okay. Pastor Oaks, can you hear me? Pastor Oaks, you need to. No, Omega. Thank you. Good to have you here.
Yes, I
Pastor
can hear you.
Oaks.
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
I can
Very
hear you. Thank you.
quickly, I know that. Okay, we've done some introduction. Because it's a recorded space, we just want to ensure that we just hit it off and get some education for our people. And unfortunately, you're not here to hear our introduction, but that does not, it's still okay, because when you've been on this process, we've been communicating with you. We want to thank you for all the things you have been putting into this work. Tell us about your coalition and the meeting you had, with Falana and other people in Abuja in the last, just tell us everything about it, those who attended, and some of your take homes. And, because it's one of the reasons why we're here today, So, Pastor Oaks.
Hello? I'm not
We
hearing
we
you
can hear
again.
you,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. All right. No. I was because it looks like you were off, so I was just trying to. I wasn't hearing you. Should I go ahead
Okay,
now?
but
Can I be heard
you can,
clearly?
yes,
Am I being
you
heard
can. We
clearly?
can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you so very much. I want to first of all thank Dr. Mo, my very dear friend. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And sorry, I also joined a little late. I was on transit for the meeting, so I was just rushing to meet up with the time. So first, I'm the convener of NACO, Nigeria Electoral Reform Coalition, which of course, with a few people, we're working together. Peter Randy, aka Peter Randy, who is also as our spokesperson, the PRO for NACO, and of course, we have decided to utilize everybody in their best skill. Um, the conference we had, the electoral reform conference we had in Abuja, is actually the second conference we're having, but this one is now physical. We had the first one on virtual meeting where a lot of people were also invited, but this time we were able to reach out to Mr. Femi Falana's son, Senator Shehu, distinguished Senator Shehu Sani, and of course, Dr. Tanko of the Obedient Movement. Then also, of course, Peter Randy was there also, and a few other people. Then Mr. Femi, with Mr. Dele Farotimi was out of the country, also kind of, but of course, he did a recorded speech for the program, which also was part of what we had that day. Then we have come to find out that the country as we are right now, we are in a juncture where it's either our electoral system is reformed, or then we should just forget about the elections in Nigeria. Because you know, I sometimes I hear people make some sentences, they say APC and all that, but I believe that this is a criminal structure that has been crafted by the current generation of politicians, whether they are APC or PDP, and even some in some other parties. And they like the disorderliness. They have created the disorderliness that is in the system, where nothing is organized. The INEC will never stand by the rules. The judiciary will never stand by the rules. And then the people are at their mercy. So whatever they bring up to us, then we take it, and then they now tell us you can go to court. Maybe because they probably have the court in their pockets. Now, in the meeting we had in NACO, of course, NACO is a broad-based coalition. It was not created for a few people. NACO is actually aimed at embracing every group, every organization, every individual who is passionate about electoral reforms. Everybody. We really hope that the entire Nigerian youth, the entire Nigerian people can go under an umbrella and achieve this particular goal. One of the things I'm passionate about as a person is to see that we work together as a group. I really hope that we can unite ourselves together as a people with this particular mission. Every one of us can come together. When I was talking to Dr. Mo, one of the things I'm passionately talking to him about is whatever we can do to bring everybody together, to push for this particular one thing, let's do it. And it is better that Nigerians have a system where we can vote. Now, this is not a difficult task. We are not asking for anything too much. India has over 900 million registered voters. And then in the election they had, over 600 million people voted. You could see an electoral system where over 1 million polling units, polling booths were set up in a country. That's a massive work. But then the credibility of that election can be vouched somehow. So I think the country has gotten to a point where we really need to come back and look at our to do. Now, the introduction of beavers, we all thought that we had come to that point where, oh, this is the solution. But then they also had loopholes. And so the system must be not just reformed, but carefully reformed. And we must also look through it to be sure that what we're asking for is what they're giving us. Because we've come to go to that point that we have seen that when we ask for bread, they give us stone. When we ask for fish, they give us snake. So we must also look at it and be sure that what they're giving us is exactly what we want. So what we are asking for is simple. Number one thing is we are saying we want the system to be digitalized from the beginning, from the accreditation, registration, accreditation to voting. And we're saying the voting should be done from the polling unit and should be collated digitally at the state board. No ward collation, no local government collation. We want it at the board of the state so that everybody can see it at the board. If I vote at any polling unit within that state, it will be seen on that state board. so that even at the end of the election, before it ends, even pressmen, media houses could have called the result without anybody coming by 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. to give us a result. But then the onus, the burden of proof also will still lie on INEC, of course, because the IREV and all the digital systems is still within their control. So we still have that, of course, to push in when we are going to finalize this system. So what we're asking for is a system that works, a system that will revive the heart of the Nigerian voter to say, oh, okay, now I can feel that my vote will count. Because the voter apathy we're experiencing right now already is terrible. A lot of Nigerians believe that even if they vote again now, their vote will not count. And that is why we must push for this electoral reform. Otherwise, the election we're going to be facing next will be the worst we have ever seen. Not because the APC does not want it to hold, not because the PDP doesn't want it to hold, not because any group of people want to scatter it. No, but because the Nigerian people have lost hope. They've lost confidence in the electoral process. So the earlier we begin to push and ensure that this confidence is restored, the better for us, so that we can at least still have an election in this country. Otherwise, I can bet you a lot of us who are here right now are not even interested in any more election. What we are rather interested is, let's have something that is credible. We need to establish a transparent and accountable and an inclusive electoral process in Nigeria that promotes citizen participation. Because if this thing is accountable and transparent, citizens will want to participate. And I want to really state here that I want to encourage every Nigerian youth. I want to encourage every Nigerian person that is here to see this as, I saw Dr. Mo tweeting on Twitter asking, why is electoral reform not trending? Why is fixed INEC not trending? Now, if you look at, you just found out that the president has quickly appointed and confirmed an INEC leadership, because we are starting to shout fix INEC. That one is suddenly somehow on the side. But we can still do what we have to do by ensuring that the electoral system itself, even if with the new people that they are put in, we force them to do what they ought to do by the law, by making sure we set up a system that is credible, a system that can bring in the people together and that can improve, or that can rather support citizen participation. So I really want everybody to please, whatever you can do at this time, whether it is tweeting, whether it is reposting, whether it is whatever it is you can do, this is the time for us all to participate and see to it that the electoral reform is done. And we want it done in 2025. Otherwise, once we enter 2026, they will start telling us it is too close to election and they will not be able to do it. We want to do it now. We have given them 30 days mandate to act on electoral reform. And nobody will tell us that it is too short a time, because the precedence is there. They have shown us that they could they can pass the new or old national anthem in one day. They did that in one day. They did the 3 readings in one day, passed it in one day, got an assent in one day. The state and other places was done in one day. Several other, even the loans were done in one day. So the National Assembly have proven to us that in one day they can do a whole lot. So 30 days is not too small for them to handle the electoral reform. And we are standing on that 30 days reform. By the 20th of this month, which is the 10th day, which will be marking the 10th day that we have sent in that request to them, we are going to be holding a world press conference, reminding them again and the world that we have given them this mandate. We've given them 30 days to act and tell the world what they have done within the first 10 days. And after the first 10 days, after that world press conference, we will set up the next line of action. And we want everybody to hold on to their senators, their House of Rep members, call them wherever they are, And we are going to begin to mark on Twitter and every social media all the senators and all the House of Rep members who are not talking in favor of electoral reform or who are not pushing for it because they are not coming back in 2027. We will make sure that they are posted everywhere and nobody will vote those people in office in 2027. So I am hoping that every one of us will push in this line direction. Most of the things you see Peter talking on Twitter, talking on Facebook, is what we have agreed that he should go and push. This is the countdown we are doing. Please join, retweet, join what NACO is doing, and we'll be glad until that we have gotten this thing achieved. Thank you very much, Dr. Mo. I have to yield the mic now, just in case there's any question or whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pastor Oaks and your team. This is really encouraging. These are the kinds of things that we expect. You can see you're getting a lot of thumbs up, and people are saying, yes, well done, you're on the right track, for this coalition. And I'm sure that, of course, we'll continue this because this conversation will not stop. We'll continue the conversation, continue the updates, and continue the actions, and continue to push on this narrative until we get what we're looking for, regardless of whatever anybody says. I have some people on the stage. I'm trying to look. Honorable Ben has gone down. I can't find him right now. I know that he's on a train. He's in the US. Honorable Ben is in the House of Reps. That's whatever the
Dr.
case
Mo
is. We have
Blunt.
senators and House members of the Labour Party who are responding, and we're getting feedbacks from them.
Dr. Mo, I was going to say we have Blunt, Craze Man, and Odunayo on the stage. Do you want them to say something at this point?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Blunt, Craze Man. This your hand to guys. But anyway, unmute your mic and speak, please. Blunt, Craze Man, are you there? Or should I just call you Blunt? Even Blunt sounds bad. Blunt, are you there? Be laughing. Okay. Right. So I'll go to Odunayo, who's got his hand up. Odunayo, do you want to speak then?
Yeah, how are you, ma'am?
Good afternoon. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I've listened to the argument on electoral reform. And the question is, if there's no electoral reform, what happened next? We have had a culture of presidents who tamper with electoral reform when they're about to leave. They try not to do so when they're in power. From Obasanjo to 2006 electoral reform, to 2011, the last one was 2022. And if you check the history of this electoral reform, when it was time for election, these guys would refuse to do what's supposed to be done, except Jonathan in 2011. And 2019 election, there was a new electoral act that was trying to ascertain and improve upon the electronic voting system, which the court have heard in several instances before that time, that the electoral act did not have any provision of electronic system. However, though the INEC rules had it, the electoral had not have it. So since the electoral has not have it, it's not going to be of any moment to the interpretation of the law as regards to the argument presented in court. Well, in 2022 there was electoral act that emerging and put into place these issues of electronics issues as were canvassed, and what I think was obtainable, or what I think is quite very fundamental, at that time. But unfortunately, the Electoral Act gave INEC the discretionary power of whether to use a manual collusion in computing the results, or they can use the electronic means of doing so. INEC in their own electoral rule, INEC rules and guideline stated that they have opted to use the electronic means of imputing results. So, which they, in my opinion, they wisely ascertained their discretion. But when it got to the Supreme Court said if INEC chooses not to use manual for the reason best known to them, they are within their rights and within the provision of the law that give them the power to do so. But the question is, do I think Tinubu will change the Electoral Act that will bring a misfortune for him? If you know the kind of person you have as president of Nigeria, you know very well that the answer will be in the negative. He will never do so. So what do you do? If peradventure, National Assembly even pushes, if they will, let's assume that they even gave a listening ear to it, which I know they will not. Naturally, they will not. The president can veto it, like Buhari vetoed it in 2018, 2019. So the question, what next? And that's why I said very well that a proactive measure must be put in place to checkmate the violence and electoral malpractices across the country. 2, when you're dealing with people who are criminal-minded, you have to be proactive to bring measure to reducing, not that it should not happen, to reducing the enormity of the criminality. And that's why I propose very well that if we have to run an election, 2027 election, what do you do? Now, 2015 election, we'll borrow a leave of what happened in 2015 election. APC, when we were coming to power, campaigning for aspiration, the equation party, they bought phone for every of the polling unit agents. Every of the polling unit agents, not ward, polling unit agents, they bought phone to ascertain whatever goes on, whatever happening in that place. Is it possible for us to have a phone for every, or if not 1 or 2 persons in every polling unit? Because I'm not want to believe that we should have 1 person in 1 polling unit. I believe very well that we should have at least 3 persons in polling units. You get the point. That alone, if 1 person sells out, 3 of them may not be able to sell out. However, it will not that people will not sell out. People will definitely sell out. You have to have that into imagination. You canvas that in your thoughts. However, that can be reduced if you have people across everywhere. Because one of the arguments of Supreme Court, when you read the judgment of the obese petition, was that you have to, and this is the modus operandi of Supreme Court. If you allege that there's a criminality or there's electoral malpractice in any polling unit, you have to prove electoral malpractice from the polling unit. You get the point. And a person who was involved in that polling unit must be the one that's evidence must be tied down to that particular discussion. So that means that even though you are a member of the Labour Party, even though you're a sympathizer of the Labour Party, if you're coming to testify that there was the malpractice in that place, you must have a particular direct witness to it. If you don't have witness to this, it's for the part of the Supreme Court, your evidence is worth as nothing. They will not even evaluate it in any sense. Now, what do you do when you read those judgments? You have to look at what are they saying and what is the pattern of their thoughts. So my view is, why don't we have a phone, create some technological know-how, where I know very well that obedient and particularly Nigerians actually have the skills. What you need to do is to give them the necessary environment and create the avenue for them to do so. We can use phone, we can use internet, we can use a lot of things to make sure that we get things done. The result will be trickling down from individual systems. Now, if you have
excuse me, please, yeah. Can you just wrap your question so that we can take?
I'm not asking questions. You don't ask questions. I don't ask questions. I'm making my submission.
Okay, please, 30 seconds. Please wrap up in 30 seconds.
All right, thank you. So, if you have to find a way to getting things done, you have to look at what has been done in the first place and what is the way things have been over the time. Nigeria is not a country where things can be done the right way. So you have to look for proactive measures to put things done. And I think very well that if you evaluate, if any lawyer here or anybody who have actually advised people around here will know very well that you look at the sequence of the Electoral Act and the decision of the court over the years, you know, in the last 2 years, you know that the pattern of the thought processes and what they are saying. So that's why my view is on the fact that we have to be proactive on it. That's just it. That's look at the proactive measure we can put in place to reduce the malpractice character of criminality of APC and other parties and be able to put Nigeria at the first. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I don't know. He didn't ask a question. He gave his submission. I don't know, Dr. Mo, would you like to respond to his submission, or we should just?
No, I think it's also a brilliant submissions, the perspectives that and the things he talked about. I think Blunt is ready to do his stuff right, and so I'm trying to get Honorable Ben back up. So while Blunt is giving his submission, so we can go straight. Okay, Honorable Ben is here with us. Blunt, go ahead, and then we'll take Honorable Ben and ask him the relevant question. Go ahead, just go.
Good evening. Good evening. Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
We
please
can
go
all
ahead.
hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Good evening and good day, wherever you are. Please, I have maybe one or two questions and then some submissions. Okay. The question is for the Honorable. You know, we are going for electoral reforms and we are pushing for electoral reforms. But, you know, there are some things I would really want to know if they are in the bill he submitted whenever he's around so that he will answer it. We've been pushing for electronic transmission, and in the end, INEC ended up giving us uploading of pictures of result sheets. That uploading of pictures of result sheet is clearly not electronic transmission. They want to force us to believe that that thing is electronic transmission, but it's not. So I want to know if, okay, let me even explain what the electronic transmission means. It means imputing the results into a transmission module and then transmitting it to a collection center, electronic collection that collates and tally the results and give the collected results electronically without human input. So electronic transmission goes with electronic collation. Two of them are tied together. Then after that, they can upload the polling unit's physical results. Then after the electronic transmission and electronic collation, which is being done by a collection system, you know, system of computers, then they can now print it out, snap it, and still upload if they like. If they don't, it can be broadcasted directly from the server, the collection server, which is totally different. And then another one is transmission of the accreditation data, which is totally different from the imputing of results. Now, accreditation data is automatically generated from the whatever device that is used. In this case, which is BVAS. BVAS can do that too. Automatically transmit the accreditation data to another server that collates the accreditation data. Then the presiding officers will now impute the results in the transmission module inside there in the BVAS. It is there, but they didn't use it. They will input the values and send it, which now collates in the collation server. And then automatically, there's no collation officer is needed for this one. It will automatically collate and the final results will come out. So I've established what I mean by electronic transmission and electronic collation so that nobody will confuse it with uploading of photo of results. Please, I would like the Honorable to, tell us whether he proposed for this particular type of electronic transmission and collation. Electronic transmission and electronic collation. Please, that's what we need. Not the uploading of photos alone. That one is too elementary. It's not instant. Then secondly,
Let's Blunt. Yes, he's on. He's on transit. We'll let him answer this question. Do introduction. Tell us about him and what he's doing, and then we'll take your second question, please.
okay.
Mm. Honorable Ben, are you there? I know you can't scream or shout uh, because you're not in Nigeria. If you're in Nigeria, good evening, sir. You.
Yeah, good evening, Dr. Mo.
Thank you so much for being here, sir. So you heard the question.
Okay.
I've already done some introduction about you, and we're so happy to have you. You're one of those we can hold accountable. Talk to us about your bill and what you're doing, and any other thing you want us to know, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me first of all appreciate, the honor and privilege, extended to me, to be in this discussion. And I took time to hear a couple of you, talking on this very serious, matter. Even before this meeting started, a while ago, when we're talking, Nigerians met somewhere. It was this electoral, institution called INEC. So it's a very burning issue, for me, creating time to want to discuss matters that involve elections, I consider it a priority. So I thank all of you for giving me this audience. Now, first of all, I'm a lawyer by training, and was inspired to come into politics, not for any other thing other than how best, we can make life better, for everybody. I'm not a capitalist Democrat, by nature. I'm a socialist Democrat. I've been in the union for a very long time. So my desire, was to come to the National Assembly. In any case, complement, my principle, because I was very sure that Nigerians needed a change, in 2023. And my presidential candidate, was the best, person, to effect that change. So we all came to complement, not just campaigning for him alone, because he might not be able to do it alone. See how best we can get into the National Assembly, and support, changes. However, my first shock was during the election itself. It's an area I wasn't focusing on, because the Electoral Act that I read, had a lot of, good things inside, and I think that goes to the last question, that was asked about if the Electoral Act provided for electronic transmission. It did, So we all had confidence that things were going to be okay. You hear when they talk about this IREV. IREV is a receiving, portal where all the results, we're supposed to come into. However, in the course of that election, something happened. And what happened was that the transmission, according to INEC process, had a glitch, meaning that it's an unenvisaged interruption of the process. Unenvisaged, that is the assumption, made. It could be deliberate from what, we later realize. So from that point, and all through the Supreme Court case, I was waiting for the Supreme Court to insist, that we must retrieve all what has been sent into the space. I'm not really too technologically, sound when it comes to all these transmissions and internet thing. But however, the common knowledge was that INEC was going to insist, and they could retrieve all those data. But see where INEC, where the court, got it, wrong for all of us, was that the court said, if we have situations like that, INEC is permitted to use other means to ascertain, the result. That was where we got it, wrong, to my mind. Because it now gave opportunity for INEC to say, we couldn't, because of network problem or interference, we are now resorting to collating, manually. Look, we cannot function in this country without having a very good electoral, process. From that day, I decided that I'm going to pay attention only, to this electoral, reform. Because if we get it right, then we will be able to elect the correct leaders, will provide us. We have everything in this country, except we don't have leaders that are reasoning very right. And I believe that the most important institution in Nigeria is the INEC itself. That process, that institution that recruits, leaders, must be sanitized. So all attentions have been paid to it. For me, any discussion that has to do with electoral reforms, I pay attention to it. And personally, I have, introduced a few very dynamic reasoning into making sure that our processes, are made right. Now, the few discussions that have come, on the floor of the House are: one, can we, this time use the results that were now, that was uploaded or transmitted into, the portal, so that it does, when they cannot succeed, with all these things, to now use paper work. Perhaps one of the problems we're having with that argument is that they keep saying that Nigeria is not covered, possible to relegate all the polling units, to do electronic transmission of. See, there are processes that technically INEC can put in place, and we'll get the result. If we say everywhere is not covered in Nigeria, it does not mean that a kilometer out of the polling or voting center, we may not get network. In fact, the whole idea, the school they gave to us on this transmission was that if there's no network, the very moment they get to the first network available place, the result already sent, we go. That is the understanding. So we must insist, and there are a lot of bills and motions, to that effect. The second one is that the argument people believe that if we do the election in one day, it will be fine, for every, person, so that the burden on INEC will be lessened. Instead of doing three offices in one day, now I join and do another 2 again. It's the same thing. Why not just take the 5 papers, to do it? So that's another matter again that has been pushed, for consideration. Then personally, I felt that, look, to just put everybody at peace, we even if you bring an Angel Gabriel to Nigeria today to come and supervise election, there will still be problem, as to the announcement of result. Rather, let us safeguard ourselves by introducing what I call agent service, providers, special election, special agent service provider. What do I mean by this? That the results will not be the portal where results are uploaded to cannot be only in the control of INEC. That INEC will be the one looking at only that television where all these results are coming up. That civil society group, professional organizations, churches, Islamic groups, we can form what we call agent service providers. What do I mean? If we are doing election today, assuming presidential election, and the APC, decide to hire, say, the Nigerian Bar Association. Nigerian Bar Association will be able to provide agents and develop their product, so that when the results are coming, just as the INEC officials in the polling units are uploading to INEC portal, the agents of the APC will be uploading their results to the APC portal. Also, the Christian Association of Nigeria, assuming they are the ones providing services for PDP, they will do same. If the civil society group put themselves together, they will do same. So that at the end of the day, the release of results will be a comparable one to all those agent service providers that participated in that election, such that if at the end of the day INEC declares a result, then the other agent service providers will look if it corresponded, with what they have. Though it is the result of INEC that will be used to declare the winner. But should there be discrepancies, the results of agent service providers will be admissible in court to use to determine where the problem comes from. So my idea is that it will be a check on INEC, because the way Nigeria is, I cannot tell you lie. If you put an Hausa man there, every other tribe people will suspect him. You put a Yoruba man there, everybody will be confident, because people have not displayed courage, for transparency, and neutrality, from the side of INEC. So, but before we get to that point where we will begin to have developed that, let us use this one first to determine, the results, that are coming. So, in summary, I have said that the Electoral Act provided for transmission of results electronically, but it is counter the Supreme Court decision. The Supreme Court decision also to its law, interpreting, the provision of the law. And the Supreme Court says, that should there be a problem where the results are not coming electronically, that INEC can use their discretion, to do. I think that is where the problem is. So for us, what we should be putting pressure on is that discretion of INEC, to use that result, rather to put pressure that it must be, that word should not be made. It must be, a transmission, of results electronically. That is what I think the pressure is. Now we are doing retreats in the electoral reforms. There are retreats going on, like that. People, civil society group, Nigerians who are interested. We have argued the matter on the floor of the House, so I must tell you the truth. It might not be reported, so often, but I can tell you that so much has gone on in the debate, for doing a better election. But you know that any ruling party, we want to either sustain the existing, law if they think they can manipulate it, or introduce new processes, that they can use for their advantage. Those are the arguments. So when you see reforms coming to the Electoral Act, it does not necessarily mean, to my mind, that people want to eradicate, where they themselves may want to even introduce what can even make it easier for them, to rig the election. But I bet you, is the citizens of a country are the ones that deserve the kind of law they have. If Nigeria allow certain things to be introduced for the advantage, personal advantage of political parties, that is very unfortunate. But for me, I am not looking at advantage of any political party. I'm looking at the advantage for Nigerians to decide who their leaders, will be. I have started packing my bag, to leave probably in 2027 if this situation continues, like this. But I will give in all my effort, because it doesn't worth it. It doesn't worth it if at the end of the day, I haven't made some significant progress in 2023, except for the presidential election, where they experienced glitches. If the electronic transmission was not working, people like us would not have won an election. But unfortunately, it is the same election that we won and our results were transferred electronically. That the same presidential election that we had these glitches is the same way. So we must insist that it is done, as a matter of compulsion, and there should not be alternative available for INEC. And in any case, we must also too insist that the appointment of who is the chairman of INEC matters a lot. Because you see, if you have the INEC chairman of Ghana, the little girl, in Ghana, if you have that same girl in the Nigerian INEC, these results will be announced as people voted. So the individual, also matters. A situation where the president has the sole power, to appoint, who becomes the chairman of INEC, is one of those areas where we have taken motions to see how best we can correct that. No, the president should not have the sole power, to appoint an INEC chairman. He should go to a process, another organ of government, such as the judiciary, to do it. Or they have nominated individuals who will appear before the Nigerian parliament, where we all, we look at the pedigree, of the individual, that will be appointed, into that position of chairman, of INEC. Once we can have these two areas okayed, for us, we are ready to go. Summary again. There's need to be some level of rescue coming from the court in Nigeria. The problem that politicians have confidence that anything that happens in an election go to court. First of all, INEC declare me winner first. Let any person go to court when you know the facts and the result does not support, the winner. Then you now go to court and you are now in the whims and caprices of the judiciary. And at the time the judiciary comes out with their result, judgment, you find a lot of. The judiciary must help us. I don't know how we can do that other than to continue to insist to the country. We should continue to tell Nigerians, where we said we pledge our country to be faithful, loyal, and honest. We must insist on that. That is the message I'll have. I will wait for other questions now.
Thank you so much, Honorable Ben. This is really this is one of the best sessions we're having on these discussions. Thank you so much for making yourself available and telling us about some of the items on your bill that are skilled first reading. I want to appeal to you, sir, on something. I know that, especially to everyone listening, and I say that because, I have the Honorable Ben. I know you. We have interacted. You were in at the Married House where we have an overflow of people where we talk about this, and I hear you. I know your heart. As a matter of fact, that because we live in a country where trust, accountability has gone down the drain, the tendency for good people, because they are being ridiculed, to wanting to give way. The other time we have Senator Rate. Listen, don't even vote for me in the 7. I want to go. I'm working for the people, but they are not seeing it. Everybody just wants an honorable or a senator that will put money in their pocket. That I build hospital in Dobi, that I'm going to the hinterlands and doing things. No, people don't care as long as they don't have. We had a very big event, over 1,000 people in Abuja just a week plus ago. And 90% of the people challenging and asking our questions are saying that I voted for you and you have not, I called you, you did not pick your call. It did not matter. In fact, she's been accused of saying that the materials that she's giving out, she's giving it to people who didn't vote for her. And while I cannot blame Nigerians totally for the hunger, the pain, the weaponization of poverty, even for people like you who came in genuinely and sincerely to fight and help, you will be ridiculed. A lot of things will come against you. I'm saying this to say that please do not. And for each, and I'm going to be running in 2027. It doesn't matter what anybody says. They can say whatever they want. Nigerians must rise up to look at people who are credible, who are ready to fight, and do what is
Dr.
required.
Moji, if you just give me a space, I can make some contribution. Just one or two things to say.
Please go ahead, because today is you. Go ahead. You can hear me. We'll take question, but just go ahead. You can. You are the
Dr. Mo.
You are our chief guest today. Yes.
Dr. Mo, can I just make one point? See,
go ahead.
I don't want to go through all this talk of Mr. Etanabene. People like you can make difference. Mr. Bene, look, if we like Peter Obi, that we are fairly sure we will do a good election in 2027. Don't try to convince me, to continue. I don't have that energy to be in one table turning around. Take example of when people were defecting at the beginning, when Labour Party member defected, other party defected. I stood on the floor of the House and insisted that the provision of the Constitution is very clear as to if you leave your party when the law says that unless your party cannot function in your national secretariat as a result of division, then you must lose your seat. What happened? You saw when the speaker shouted at me and said I should go to court. I should go to court. I said the provision of the constitution does not say I should go to court. That they must leave. He said I should go to court. That was the young guy. I said the day I leave in my party, I will not come to this floor of the house. So let me tell you, the laws in this country are clear, but there is an overbearing power, principality that is on it. So that if we don't have somebody, we are not sure of somebody that will be a difference at the national level, forget all these things. Me, I'm 60 years old. You know, ordinarily, people like us should be on retirement and be having young people, you know, to be coming. So me, I have set out some agenda for me, you know, to see, you know, coming towards 27. I don't say that if you put Mr. Peter Obi, you know, who of course, who represents right now the change, you know, from the old order. If it's going to be any of the old order, me, I don't want to die of heart attack, you know, now. It's quite disappointing. So unless I have assurance that we will have a good election in 2027, it is in the best interest that I just start packing, you know, my load there. Now, perhaps, you know, contribute from the experience as we see these things coming. It's really frustrating. Thank you.
Well, Honorable Ben is not going to change my stance because, I mean, I've traveled practically all over the world and I'm a student of the civil rights movement. Anytime I'm in South Africa, I go to Mandela's house just to be inspired. And I look through things, you know, sometimes I know that the only thing that will give those who are standing right, those who are doing what is right today, those who believe in inclusivity, all the ideals that God, nature, you know, represents, you know, doing what is right, following the law, not breaking traffic lights, all of those things, you know, that it does exist is not going to happen in a day. You know, for South Africa, it took what, 82 years. For the civil rights movement, it took what, 87 years. What that shows is that for us to be reformed, it's not going to happen in 5 years. It's not going to happen in 10 years or 20 years. It could happen, you know, given the fact that we're in 21st century. But I know that it can only happen by tenacity, by a people who cannot be changed by the system. Because I hear you. You are in the house. You are pushing. And I know some people who would come and even insult and put everybody in one basket. And yes, in the context of data, everybody is in one basket. So it is almost as if we do not even have a country right now. Honorable, I made a post just yesterday or so where I alluded to a dream that I have, talking about that in Nigeria in 2075, you know, that in 50 years time, hopefully, you know, just looking at a Nigeria where it would not matter where you come from, your tribe will not matter, but that anybody could win an election anywhere, you know. And I gave instances. I gave the most shocking, you know, instances, like, you know, an Igbo man becoming governor of Lagos State, and a Yoruba man become governor of Anambra State. Imagine a Fulani man becoming the governor of Plateau State, and yes, an Idoma man becoming a governor in Sokoto State, and just anyhow, regardless of your religion. If you go and look at the tweet, more than 50% is insult, abuse. It's almost, some even say Nigeria has collapsed, it is useless. And it's incredible that we have gotten to the point where Nigerians, the bulk of us, don't even believe in the future. Sir, can you see how many of us are here? I know that by the time we're done, we're over 200 here, yes? You would have thought that having Honorable Benedict Etanabene, whose electoral reform bill has gone beyond the first reading, that all Nigerians, everybody on Twitter will gather here. No, they will gather here when there is an insult. They will gather here when all kinds of, because that, again, that is the bulk of us. That's who we are. It is the most saddest time in the history. We should cry and weep. It is almost like we've come to the end times, and the way I describe it is like we're between, you know, there is, if you are a person of scripture, there is what we call the dark age. The dark age is a 400 years gap between Malachi and Matthew, where prophets were killed, where people who stood for right things were killed without anything. So today, speaking the truth, you are the enemy. Actually, can you imagine that we are in a country right now, like you rightly said, you stuck, regardless of what is happening in the party. The laws are clear. You cross this line without XYZ, you exited. But guess what? People are being rewarded for rigging. The amount of ballot boxes you pick and steal. You are given ministerial position, ambassadorial position. The more you can insult people, the degree to which you can hit people and abuse their father, their mother, abuse their generation, lie, manipulate, bring out all kinds of nonsense, you get ambassadorial position. You are rewarded. And we have many more. And guess what? People like some of us who are standing, then you hear people say, get out, we don't even trust you. Oh yeah, go and join them. Even ridiculing you at the same time. The tendency is for us to say, you know what? This thing will not work. Let's just get away. Let's just forget about it. And I'm repeating it, sir. We will continue. Yes, we are in the minority. It might look like we don't exist. Whether we win in 2027 or in 2031, Nigerians, the critical mass of Nigeria just need to resolve in their mind. I have said it many times, and when I say it in some religious places, they say, oh, God forbid. No, I have decided that I will live and die poor because I am not buyable, I am not sellable, I am not bendable. My ideals and my rules, it is what matters. Today we are crying, and I tell my children, I say, if criminals kill me, or if Fulanis or whatever you call them kill me, please do not hate the Fulanis. Because for one Fulani that kills, there's another one. There are many more. For one Yoruba guy that insults somebody, there are many more who are right. For one Igbo man. And so I came up and said, if you find hot, if you find hot Zakari, don't say it is Igbo that is hurting Hausa. It is that particular Ifeanyi. Because there are many Ifeanyis who are defending Ibrahim and other people. We must hold individuals accountable. No, we will say it. It is Akpabio, not all the people there. No, it is this. We will hold individuals accountable because that is the only way we can begin to restore and find healing. But it is not going to come just by one something of elections. But thank you very much. It was just important to just rein in this. We will take right now. I want us to take questions, not submissions. So we have Blanc. Take your next. We're going to have time for submission, but because Honorable is on transit, let's take questions quickly, direct to the questions. He responds to it, and then we can come back for submissions.
Thank you.
Doctor, please, can I just quickly, Blunt, my apologies. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the kind of lawmakers that I believe, in my own opinion, that we are supposed to follow up. We're supposed to be by their side, be behind them, while they go into the house to do our bidding, while they go into the house for our interest. We are supposed to be out here giving them that moral support that they need. And I went through his timeline. I noticed that it's just 15 people that probably from this space that is following his account. And these are the things. I wasn't even aware that he's pushing this bill. And I just feel sad that we are not even aware. We are not even following up, at least. And I know sometimes, when his colleagues probably from the opposition talk him down and all that, I know what it feels like. And sometimes some people will see him and say, you see, you are this, you are that, and all that. So for me, I just want to say kudos, Honorable, for what you've been doing, even when people do not see. All right. And please, ladies and gentlemen, it's important that we follow his handle. I believe this is his official handle. We need to connect with this handle and turn on his post notification for updates. Whatever is going on, we would like him to keep us updated. We'd like him to, we would like to follow this up with him. All right. It goes through, it doesn't go through. We want to be by his side, want to be behind him. All right. And want to give him all the support that he needs as citizens. All right. So please do well to follow his account. He doesn't have his profile picture on, but you see his name. You see his name starts with Benedict. Please do well to follow that account as you're on the space while we take questions. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Blunt.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, please, I have a second question. Yesterday, someone, is that yesterday? The time we had a space with Senator Ireti, someone tapped the question: what if the reforms, after the reforms, they will still not obey it fully, just the way they did to the Electoral Act 2022? And then, this thing brings me back to this same question again, because Ireti was like, since he's the president that signed it, he cannot disobey it. But Buhari signed the other one, and still INEC disobeyed it. So you see, and I want to ask, like, it's purely direct, because even as of now, if you've been following, any of you have been seeing my tweets, I'm trying to just bring out a particular part of, if I've been saying this since 2023, after they said that there was a glitch. I said, no problem. If they say that there will not be electronic transmission, fine, let them do full manual transmission. You see that beavers, anywhere there is a dispute, and they say, yes, I have a problem with this polling unit, their collection officer must say, yes, bring the beavers for me. And if that electoral collection officer could not call up the beavers of the particular polling unit that is being disputed, then that person, that collection officer, has committed an offense. It is there in the Electoral Act. If you cannot do this thing that is here, if you cannot call up the beavers of the collection units in question, then you committed an offense, and you will be fined. Now, our collection officers will be saying, no, they will bring up, they will be telling the party agents to bring up all those disputes, that they will treat it at the final collection center. When they bring everything to the final collection center, they will now say, okay, after everything, we will do review. Electoral Act say that there will be a review. Immediately, they will declare the whole thing and end it and say, go to court. That means from the first point of collection to the last point of collection, including the final returning officer, all of them went against the Electoral Act, and nobody is taking note of that. In fact, nobody is even taking it up. The one of this Edo State that just finished is even the worst. They instead of them uploading at the polling unit, they took everything back to the ward and uploading the results. They took the results back to the ward and then started capturing pictures at the ward and collecting from there. And still, when people started bringing up the issues at the collection, they were telling them that they will do the final, they will review everything at the final collection center at the state level. There at the state level, nothing was done. That means they were going against the Electoral Act in clear view. And nobody, so if this kind of thing continues even after we have the electoral reforms, and they will just come and put this kind of loophole, which they did, because what I'm saying is, if they say that there will not be electoral collection, no electronic collection and the transmission, let them now be doing the manual. Wherever there is a dispute, let everybody wait there. Stop the collection. Let the beavers machine of that polling unit come. And if he didn't come, then there is a breach. It is an offense. And no collection must continue until that beavers machine comes and the disputes are settled. That's what Electoral Act say. So it is better for them to either not make a mistake. There shouldn't be mistake, or else if there are mistakes, then the beavers machine must come. If the beaver machine didn't come, then no collection. That's what the Electoral Act says, and it is clear. there is no go to court issue there. So I'm asking a question. I hope that in the next electoral reform that will come, they will not create this kind of loopholes again. And then while we are still waiting for that electoral reform, can we find a way and put this electoral Act 2022 into full implementation to an extent that whenever there is a dispute raised, the beavers machine must be called upon. If not, no collection must continue. That's the rule there. There's no two ways about this particular raising of dispute. Putting it up to the final collection level is a lie. That's not what the Electoral Act says. So I don't know why the electoral collection officers at the ward and the level local government and states continue to be doing that and pushing it to the final level so that the person at the final level will now say go to court. It's a lie. That's not what the Electoral Act says. The Electoral Act says once the disputes are raised, treat it and finish it before moving forward.
Can you allow them answer your question so that we can?
Thank you very much. At least I think I'm done with this question. Are there any other one I have? Just inputs and submissions.
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor. I don't know if Doctor, are you there? Okay, Mama B. Mama B's on the floor.
Okay, let's take Mama B and take Malam, then Honorable will respond, and then we'll ask Pastor Oak some questions.
Yeah, sorry, it's my understanding that INEC themselves have put forward some proposals for electoral reform, one of which is to do away with PVCs. It is, I mean, I personally think that's an attempt by them to allow wholesale rigging, because what they are advocating, putting it in place instead of that, would mean that anybody can download something with a QR code, right, and go and vote, right? And that's very disturbing, because it sounds like that's like 100 steps backwards, right? And I do wonder, is there anything in place to counter kind of these provisions that actually don't add value? They actually make things worse, with INEC citing finances as an issue, as a justification for that kind of stupid proposal. That's what is stupid, right? So that's my question. Let me yield back to Dr. Mo.
Malam, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Mo, good day. I don't know where Mami Bolanle and the co-host. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. So I don't know if the guest speaker is available. So my question would have been, I personally don't believe that this reform will be ready in time for 2027, because obviously there will be, particularly if there are provisions in there that restricts the ability of the current government to, try to make things work for them, to return to power. It will be difficult. So I just wanted to ask that if the president refuses to sign, what powers do the National Assembly have? Can they force it through? Can they force it through? Or if the president decides to hold on to it for as long as possible, how much time can he hold on to it for before an action is taken? So I don't know if you want to answer that now, or you want me to just also chip in one or two things that I think about the process.
Let them respond to what has been said so far, and Honorable Ben, I don't know if you're there.
Okay, Dr. Mo.
Yes.
Once again, I really appreciate all those who have made contributions. Um, it's really pathetic. I don't know how to lie. I don't know how to lie. So me, I just tell them. Me, I'm not a regular politician. Also, too. I lectured in the Petroleum Training Institute for 33 years. So I didn't go into the school of politics to know how to deceive people. See, I personally, I don't think that the government of the day, is serious about electoral reforms. I don't really think so. They are going to do everything possible, and even to destroy the psychic of the Nigerian people, on the need, for electoral reform, which very likely, if done well, will make them don't win. They didn't even win the last election, so it's not a question of like, it's not a question of like they are going to make it better, so that they lose, more obviously. So I suspect, that we are going to face opposition in the electoral reforms if they are not too sure of what is will make it better. They will not. But you see, these few people are not owners of Nigeria. They are not owners of Nigeria. So Nigerians must cry, and I know Nigerians will cry, hard, and prayers will be held to force, government to do what is right. Now, going for the last one, which National Assembly that will come and say no, to Mr. President if he decides not to sign proposals made available for them. If this National Assembly is already going to a one-party National Assembly, you can see all those that are making declarations every day. Initially, we came with almost a 50-50 balance, all opposition about 50, the other side 50. There's even something that Nigerians don't even want to look into. Even in the opposition in the House, it is not even an opposition, it's an opposition only to itself as an opposition. Why do I say so? Look at who are the minority leaders. They are the man in FCT people, They are the ones that are represented. So they are not talking in the best interest, of opposition. So by the time this electoral reform, by the time we get to where Mr. President will say this electoral reform, I'm very positive that the ruling party would have been about 90% plus, while opposition will be less than 10%. Take example of the proclamation that was done, in Rivers. There are 360 rep members, 109 senators. How many of those stood up, against that proclamation in the manner it was done? Benedict Etanabene, did. And that was why, that on the day of that proclamation, listen to what the speaker said when he called me to make my amendments. From where we come from in Warri, if the cow, instead of the cow to get around the bush and run away, take a pound, from it. I personally do not believe that the proclamation should have been made the way it did. But at the end of the day, I insisted that the provision of the Constitution must be followed, that the Federal Executive Council cannot oversight, that government. And over the night, they called me, they spoke to me on this matter, pleaded, okay, it's all right, we will take your amendments and all those stuff. That is why that day I was introduced that I cannot make my amendment, to the proclamation. We all didn't really go down, but the number of people that can put their feet on the ground, in this poor legislative, practice, that you depend on the what they will give to you to be able to carry to your constituency, people will begin to have problems, like this. So for me, I'm not really thinking that if Mr. President refuses, then we will have a house that will go against Mr. President. Certainly, not. However, Nigerians can make it work. And I give you an example. During this election, there's something that I noticed. Towards the evening time in 2023 election, the story was that people should come to their collection center. All these INEC officers in the various units, don't worry, don't upload, don't just come. I initially, When I was called by my agents, I said, no, okay, it's all right. Me, I'm at the collation center. They can come to the collation center, like that. But there were some agents that insisted that they were not going to allow these INEC people come to the collation center because the Electoral Act provides that this act should be done at the polling station. Initially, I was like, no, me, I don't want crisis. I don't want, there was a medical doctor, who in one unit insisted that, but the INEC man was saying, no, there's no network. The guy said, no, Ben, I shouldn't allow this guy I shouldn't allow them to leave this guy. I was shocked. Minutes later, the guy called me back and said that the process has been completed, that they eventually, uploaded. So it means that these guys were designed to circumvent, the process. The laws we have in this country, they are good laws. As the Electoral Act is today, we can achieve more than 90% success of a transparent electoral process. The problems are the people that are driving this process. Nigerians are no longer Nigerians. Nigerians are not loyal to their country. Nigerians are loyal to individuals. That's one of the problems. We can take from the ordinary Nigerian. You see, finally, when people tell me about what will happen in 2027, I said, look, a day is coming, a time is coming. Those today who think because they are in power, they can manipulate the process. It will take a spark of one misannouncement of results. And I pray God this country does not go down, with it. But today, those who think that they can do whatever they want to do and get away with it, I pray God that the innocent person should not be the one, to suffer it. Rather, those who are in the position of causing all these problems are the ones that will suffer it. So I think we should continue to mobilize, Nigerians. Awareness, matters, a lot. The electoral amendment process is not going to, achieve achieve solution to this problem. Let me just quickly say, because when I was talking about many of the amendments, I didn't mention all. There was a point where we also said, that there must be a time limit as to when to conclude the cases, should cases go to court, and that nobody should be sworn in until we conclude the court process. Because the court process as designed in the way it is, you cannot even prove your cases in court, because the law says that every polling agent must be summoned as witness for every unit where you have problems. Yet they gave you a time limit within which you must conclude this. So it is not possible for you. If you have problems, you needed to bring about 600 units and you are needing 600 witnesses, to come. I mean, why they are giving you within the law as it is today, just 2 weeks within which to bring witnesses. There's no way you can bring those 600, persons. So we must find a way, which is part of this amendment also, to insist that court processes must be concluded before swearing in, of any candidate. That is just one of them. If I were at home, participating in this meeting, I probably would have been able to come, get my diaries and look at many of them one after, the other. Perhaps there will be time, for a meeting again. It's a continuous process. We must continue to talk, like that. For those who are following or not following, I'm not really a publicity person. I didn't come into politics for people to know me or not to know me. It's for me to do the business for which I was elected to do. We were sworn in June 2023. By July, my first motion was the investigation of INEC, in the course of that IRF glitch. That was my first motion, I made within 1 month of that place. The reason why they didn't allow it to go was that they now said that the matter is in court, so we cannot have INEC. We cannot be investigating INEC yet. These guys in power have one way or the other in shutting it down. And by the time INEC now finally finished their investigation, the INEC did the investigation and said, oh, it was a glitch. You know, they had a social problem. But it would have been better for the House to investigate, you know, that properly. So we have, some of us have done, you know, what we could do. And of course, you know, you only get up and if you're allowed to get up and make your contributions, you cannot jump on top of the table and be shouting. They have even identified some of us that they even find it difficult to allow us, you know, to talk on the floor of that house because of the house rules. I'm not saying I'm holding brief for the lady in the Senate, but you can see that whether good or bad, whatever transpired, you know, you see where they begin to refer you to the house rule, to the house rule, to the house rule. In fact, one of the amendments I think I should even do, you know, is to amend that house rule itself that makes you mandatory that you must follow the provision of the house rule, when indeed the provision of the house rule, you know, does not give room for freedom, you know, of expression. Nigeria is not the only place where you have parliament. In the South African parliament, there's nothing. People like the Julius Malema, they are talking. Here, if they don't allow you to talk, you cannot talk. If you talk, they will say it's against the house rules, you know, like that. There's no freedom of expression in our legislative system, you know, in Nigeria, apart from the fact that the leadership is overbearing, you know, especially when they are in this kind of one-party majority, you know, like that. So we will stick within the time available for us, you know, to work. We will work, you know. I'm not a bandwagon person. I'm not a popular, you know, person. If you know my state, the governor and everybody in that party has moved to the ruling, you know, party. Incidentally, I represent the constituency where the governor comes from. The same local government is in Ward 3 and Ward 2. Different parties. Has been a friend that I know for up to 40 years. But when they talk to me about all this movement here, cut it out. I will not. I've not seen anything convincing why this country today, Nigerians are not seeing many of us who are in the house that people think there's one big deal about finance. We are not enjoying the whole thing, you know, because at the end of the day, if you see the pressure and nobody want to care whether you have or not have, I rather want hunger to be eradicated. I rather want security to be taken care of, insecurity to be taken care of, so that people can go farming and do a lot of things. I rather want a society where it's not only one person that is buying food for all people all the time. You know, I want a society that is leveled, you know, for everybody. But today, we cannot insist on policies of general interest, you know, not the one that favors individual political party. I'm not campaigning for party. I'm campaigning for a better, you know, Nigeria for every person. So to announce to you, you know, what I think is about if the president refuses, what will happen? I think that ball will be in the hands, you know, of Nigerians, you know, to handle, you know. If not, if it's on the floor of the house, forget it. I don't think anything, because by the time this matter we get very close to 2027, I'm not sure you will have 5% opposition in that house. Every other person would have been in the ruling party. To get re-elected, to safeguard their ticket, it's not personal. It's no longer a national interest thing. So I doubt. I'm just being candid. I doubt. You know, we will shout. We will shout. A few of us that will remain, we will shout. You know, but I doubt if we are going to, you know, to do that. This ruling party, what I think they are doing, is they never thought the opposition would pose a threat in 2027. Forget about the fact that you hear people are decamping, you know, and they are luring people to decamp. It's because they know that the ordinary Nigerian, if they vote today, the result might be different. So buy everybody by all means, intimidate people by all means, capture people by all means, you know. That's exactly the strategy they are using today. But I tell you, I believe in the resilience of Nigerians, and at the appropriate time, Nigerians will use their own hand and their vote and defend their vote And defending their vote does not necessarily mean fighting or carrying gun or protesting and all those things. But at every point you are voting, you will insist on the right thing to be done at that point. Once again, thank you for this opportunity given to me. I'm still available.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. There will be in 2 or 3 weeks' time. You're going to be back here, and what we are going to do is that we would advertise it properly. We would go over the things you've said again. Probably by that time, you'll also be home, be able to look at some details and give us some statistics. And then I can assure you that, because I'll take that upon myself, your Twitter account, your Facebook, your Instagram, we would ensure that it is properly coordinated. Fortunately, we live in 21st century where it is what is
You logged
advertised that
it.
the people know. Madmo, can you put up your mic? Madmo, can you put off your mic? It is what is advertised that the people know. For the people listening here, if you belong to us, and when I say us, I'm not saying necessarily our party, but you belong to Nigerians that are tired of these hooligans and rascality and criminality. If you're tired of them, just know that like Honorable Ben said, it makes no sense. I was driving from the airport back in Abuja today. From the airport, all the stretched down to the city gate. All you have are what? Billboards and backdrop for campaign for 2027. We are not even 2 years yet. Yes, we are just in by May 29th, it will be 2 years of this administration. But they have activated the machinery of campaign as though next month is presidential campaign, because they are afraid, because they are unpopular, because they are losing, because they know that if they vote today, I can double dare it that even with the rigged election, let's even assume that it was 8 million people that voted for the president in the last election. Out of that 8 million, 4 million will not vote. So what they're trying to do is to ensure that we do not even have a chance. They're rolling out money, buying people, doing all of that, but money will fail. If we stand our ground and do what is right, irrespective, it's not going to be easy. It's going to cost us blood. It's going to cost us sweat and guts, but it's doable. If you're as old as I am and you're in Nigeria, if you look at the 16 years rule of PDP, you will never imagine that in life that PDP will be here today. And if you look at the situation and what is happening today, with how side by side, while Nigerians are dying every day, even today, even yesterday, killings were done around the Benue state axis. In the last 1 month, over 500 Nigerians have died without any outcry, nothing. That's how useless Nigerians have become. No electricity. We can't even buy electricity, even those of us who even have it. Fuel is where it is. Food items are all high. With all the things happening side by side, if you're in Abuja, there are people making billions every day. Literally billions. They are building their houses and going in the midst of all of this quagmire. That's what is going on. But that thing that they are holding on to is going to fail. And it's going to fail if we stand our ground. And that's what we have to continue to do. If APC can be here today, I'm telling you, it will even be more easier to remove them in 2027. And we can do it. And it's not even rocket science at all. So they are ensuring that we have voter apathy. They are ensuring. When you start talking, you hear some people say, what is electoral reform? Just leave it now. It doesn't matter. What even the judicial reform? Everything has spoiled. There is no point to doing anything. People didn't know that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it was based on technicality. Just even till today, we still don't know his birth certificate. I mean, this is not DrMo's saying it. This is currently, and they say all of those things are what? Pre-election matter. It is, as we are right now, since they are ready for election, this is the time to go to court. Our president, yes, we acknowledge that he's the president, but we must go through his certificate and ensure, because any lie that is there, he will not be qualified to even run the next election. I know it looks impossible because where people have lived in darkness for so long, to think that you can have light is almost impossible. If you have been to places where people have had light for 70 years, imagine that your father has never seen light blink. If they tell you that there will be darkness, you will not believe. How can you believe when you don't even have light for 1 hour in Nigeria? That is how it is. But the darkest the night, honestly, I'm telling you, we can win over these people. And it is not rhetoric. I'm not even trying to impress anybody or inspire anybody or motivate. And it's not a motivational issue. It is what is practicable, what is doable. Because good will always overcome evil. We will cry through it. There are countries that have done. I mean, I thought that we are something in Nigeria because I used to brag when I read out data. Oh, we are multi-ethnic, we are this. When I left Indonesia, they speak 900 languages. We are not even half anywhere in terms of where they are. Yet, the INEC chairman's name is Bernard, but he's a Muslim. You can't even tell. Indonesia is 85% Muslims, but yet you can live comfortable, freely as what? As a Christian. I remember a few years ago, I lived in Dubai for almost a month or two. The local government of Dubai would provide buses for us to go to church for free and come back because it is to their own interest that we go and worship God. It's an Islamic state. So it tells you that this nonsense going on where people are talking about tribe. Some people that are talking about tribe, when we do your DNA, you realize that you are not even the tribe that you think that you are, So, I mean, and this is the reality because your tribe was forced into you. 13 years, just 13,000 years ago, there was no tribe in Nigeria. So culture keeps evolving. Our tribe is beautiful. It's beautiful as it is. Our food, our clothing is beautiful as we speak it. But anything other than that, there is nothing to tribe. All the slaves they took from Nigeria, all of them, when you talk about the Beyoncés, the Jay-Z's, and all of them, in America, the Black Americans are the best of Black people on the face of the earth. They don't speak their language. Many of them, they are Yoruba, they are Igbo, they are Biroms, because they took them as slaves from this place. This is not to undermine tribe. It's to say that we cannot build our country based on religion and tribe. At the time where people are talking about going to space, going to Mars, they're talking about all kinds of credible things. Look at we're here. Look at what we're discussing. Mundane things. Here in Nigeria, people still break street lights and pass even when it is showing red. Until you have a stick, a police with all the lighting, police will still have to carry stick because our brain don't bend. We have become animals even in our own. But when we travel abroad, we maintain ourselves. But when we come back home, we carry the follow come mumu. And that is why if you check the average person that is here today having this conversation, you are better than all the presidents that have ruled this country. At least half of them have sat with them. And I can tell you, better, even in terms of analyzing issues, attending to problems, you are better than anybody that's ever ruled this country. So don't let the fact that you are poor allow you to think that anybody that is driving Jeep or anybody that is in the house. And that's why I'm so happy that we have Honorable Ben here, who has done better. But because of the love for country, we need people who will come into the house. And I'm telling you, if we're sincere and we're ready and we work, just imagine that you have, 50 of Ben Etanabene in the house. We will overrun them. The same thing, if we have just a handful of senators in the house, we will overrun them. That is how systems are changed. And so if you are credible, for those of you abroad, you will come back. For those here, you will team up. We're not going to do what we did again in 2023, where we even allow some rubbish people. Look at the people that does I'm closing it down now to the obedience and people who send people into the house and then they went there, broke the law and the most painful one was the guy from Kaduna where Mr. Peter Obi actually went to his village to go and campaign. Another driver. He has no regard for the party. He did not even report to his principal to say, oh God, I'm even going. Oh, he just left. We will not allow those things to happen again. And that's why I'm happy for the evolution of our movement. At least we are getting to know ourselves better. So we would only allow credible people, to return regardless. Anyways, this is what this conversation is about. We're supposed to have it for 2 hours, and 2 hours actually has gone. If you're here, Madmo and Bolani, I don't know, are there questions on the timeline so that we look at them? Otherwise, I know that I will just allow Pastor Oaks is gone. Okay, I wanted him to just give his closing. Malam will come in with those on the stage will take their closing, then we'll have
Most of the questions
Bernard.
have been taken. He has already, yes, in his speech, he has already.
Trash them.
You've covered most of the questions
Good.
that were on the timeline already in your own speech too.
Fantastic. When we come back in 3 weeks' time with Honorable Ben, we would ensure that all your handles, because all your bills, your motion, and everything, we're going to have to publish them because it's also a learning curve for the people, And when we come back and speak, anyway, there are other things that we'll do. I'll talk to my people in the back because we need to hold everybody accountable. They must be answerable to us regardless, So we'll do that, but we'll have you back again. We'll go over the things you've spoken about today, and then, of course, you look at your book and be able to talk to us about some technicalities that are really relevant and important. And then we can also dive into some other areas of other things you have done, because it's important to let people know what good people like you are doing in the house. That being said, we'll take Malam, we'll take Isaac, we'll take Bolanle. Just give your closing remarks, and then we'll have the last word from Honorable Benedict Etanabene before we call it a day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr.
Malam.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Mo. And, thank you for all you do. I believe that this, it's a very important component as we build up to 2027. Yeah, so I wanted to quickly talk about, the fact that for me, the electoral reform drive is good. But honestly, I'm thinking that we should just hold this while we focus on that very important North-South alliance and, formulating strategies around the 176,000 polling units, across the country. Because most likely that would probably be the only thing that will be left with. Because there are doubts that even if the electoral reform is signed, it might not be properly implemented. And when you go to court, of course, they would speak in favor of the incumbent, right? So I want to believe that, yes, this is good, but we need that multi-pronged approach. And we should not allow one, affect the other, right? So that's what I just wanted to say, that we need to keep our eyes on the ball in terms of the backup plan. We should just literally assume that electoral reform is not going to happen. And if it happens, it will be messed up by INEC, and the court will not see anything. Thank you, Ayub.
Thank you, Malam. Isaac John.
Okay. Good evening, Mo. Good evening, Dr. Mo. Good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me, sir.
Very well.
Okay. Actually, what I have to say, the Honorable has speak a lot, and I'm so proud because, believe me, you, Dr. Mo, every day I'm in my house, I feel like crying for this nation. I cried, in fact, not that I feel like crying. I feel that, in fact, I don't know that people reason the same thing I'm reasoning every day. When the Honorable was speaking, I feel like crying because if you look at what is going on in this nation presently, what the so-called leading party are doing now, in fact, they are just trying to, that is as if they just open one gate, they will just push everybody inside and lock everybody inside, and then they do everything they feel like. But with people like him, I think it begins to give me hope again. And then I think there is more reason now for we, because I participated in a lot of election in my area, in this area, in Delta State here. I know what we passed through, and I know what they did. I know what these people did to us, Nigeria, the pains they brought, the destruction they did. A lot of people may not be seeing this one now. They just think that it's just all about shouting, hey, we are this, we are that. They don't know that these people are destroying the future of this nation. And then, so I think I don't have much to say, because the Honorable have said all the year. In fact, it make me glad. I think today I will sleep well from what I hear from him. I'm so proud of him. I'm really proud, super proud of him. And you, Dr. Mo, I must be sincere. I'm really happy. I saw what you have been doing. I've been following you through all this while. Even the Honorable, all this while, I've been looking for a way to follow him, because I follow him during his primary election. Even when he got the ticket during the election, I follow him. But all this while, I've not been seeing him. I was wondering what's happening. Is he still in the house? Not knowing that he has been doing a lot. Just as you say, please help us so that we can follow him. We'll see how we push people. We'll let people know that there are people out there who are working for us. They should see that. Because, to be sincere, a lot of people have lost hope. A lot of people have lost hope. There are many people I know today, they will tell you that nothing concerns anything election again. We should just forget about it. So people like him now, I have people that I will hold on to. I say, people like this are still there. They are fighting for us. We should not lose hope. We must keep fighting. We must keep fighting. That is what I have to say for now. Honestly, thank you very much, Dr. Moat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mommy B and Madmo, let's take your last word before Honorable Ben comes in.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mo, for having the space. It's nice to know that there are members who are still all about getting things right for Nigeria. And I think, yes, they need our support. In terms of electoral reform, one thing I need us to agree on, everybody, those listening, and those we hope will listen to the space after. This isn't just for members of the House of Rep or senators to push, right? We also, while civil society, you could see people, Randy Peters and other I know there's so many other groups who are trying to push. What we also need is citizen action, right? We all need to do this together, right? Both those of you who are living in Nigeria and those of us who are in the diaspora, right? There has to be a groundswell of pressure, right, to get the government to do, the government of the day, the president or whatever, to sign for it, but also to ensure that the right proposals, right, are completed in the House and signed into law, right? Because we have to be very clear about that. And so over the days and weeks to come, right, there review documents, see what it means. Some will hopefully will be put in languages that people understand, in layman's English, so to say, so that you can understand what we're demanding. And you yourself in your own corner, wherever it is you are, take up that work. It is all of us. We can't just rely on our members or civil society, right? If we all work together, we're much more than those who don't want Nigeria to work. Right. And therefore, it's no longer about moaning about it, it's actually taking action. And so opportunities are going to come along for you to take part. And we really want people to take part in this. Let's push this and get it done. I refuse to give up on Nigeria. I keep on saying it. I just refuse. And therefore, if we all have that kind of mindset, right, regardless of the barriers they tend to try and put in place, right, I don't think there's anything that's insurmountable. We will get there. It's going to be a hard fight, But you have to have that fighting spirit and say, look, regardless of what's going on, we're going to push for this and we're going to get it done. Thank you once more, Honorable Ben, and I yield.
Thank you, Mommy B. Thank you. Madmo, you got a minute?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And Honorable for inspiring us. Like I said earlier, I wasn't even, aware that there's a representative who is currently pushing the bill that has to do with the electoral, the electoral reform bill rather. And it's such an inspiring thing and gives a lot of hope. I just believe that we as a people, I hear people ask questions, what if they don't follow, after the first thing is that, INEC has to, their process has to, be mandated. It has to go into the, it has to be legalized. Like there's need for the law. It has to be stamped, because that was part of the the judicial comment, during the tribunal that, some of these things are not in the law. So, and where there is no law, there is no sin, So the first thing is that let it be in the law, that this is what INEC is meant to do. Then when they don't now follow it, we know that, okay, they have broken the law, and I think that's just, part of the foundation that, and for the fact that we have people in the house, who is doing everything they can to, make sure that these things come to pass. Our responsibility as citizens is to stand behind them and keep giving them that support that they need. So and because one person cannot do it, he can't do it alone. He needs everyone. He needs everyone's support. So please do well to, keep that spirit high. Don't let anybody discourage you with, I hear some people say, oh, we just talk and stuff like that. Things are already happening. And, when we come to spaces like this to, to know what's going on, we get inspired, we understand things, we enlighten each other, it helps us to, know the next course of action. It brings us to light because knowledge is actually power, and to some citizens, they don't even know the power that they wield. So thank you so much, Dr. Mo. Please, guys, it's important that you keep yourself updated with Dr. Mo at all time, because I believe that more updates will come when it comes to this electoral reform. We are just getting started, and definitely it will be rolled out on its timeline. And please, if you have not followed, we have over 200 people on this space per time, and I believe that over 1,000 has been on this space. Please, it's important that you follow Honorable Benedict, follow his official handle, and so that we can keep up with updates, from him about the bill and other things that he's doing in the House. Thank you so much. I yield.
Thank you, Honorable Ben. You can give your closing now. I know you're still on transit. Yeah, if you can.
Okay. Dr. I'm so emotionally touched with all the kind words I listen to, but I don't give into encomium or praises. This is a business I signed for. When I signed for the business, I was not expecting. I don't expect. People should not give me any special. Let me just do the business. If you want to know me more, just go to the Petroleum Training Institute. Where I worked. Perhaps you will have an understanding of my upbringing. In 2001, the Petroleum Training Institute did an employment exercise where they employed over 90 graduates. Of course, if you have job in the Petroleum Training Institute there is thinking rich guy. So people want themselves and their wives, to work there. They did an appointment. I was chairman of Pengasing, and the employment didn't go down well in the sense that they selected people, whereas there are people who have been doing Tajwas, there for 10 years, 14 years. I insisted that those are the first people that will be employed and nobody. The employment went to the president, and then Chief Obasanjo, they canceled the employment, and the president directed that they should meet me and carry me along on when they are going to do the next one. You know what these people did? Minister of Petroleum Resources. They did an employment, they brought one list out, and the first person on that list was Barrister Mrs. Gloria Etanabene, my dear wife, who was looking for a job at that time too. When they brought the list in front of me, I didn't blink an eye. I canceled her name with the first corrective fluid that came on my hand and insisted that the right thing, be done. A few examples are many. It will give you a background of where I'm coming from. I don't want praises. I don't want encomium. Let's just do what is right. See, I feel more emotion than any of you on this platform today. It's just the pity that we didn't see ourselves, face. You will see that when some of you guys are talking, I feel like just crying, because see, how did we get to this point from the First Republic to this time? How did we get here? How did the best country in the world turn out to be the most mismanaged country, in the world? We have resources, and we cannot see our resources in the maps of people, and we see it somebody told me that, Ben, are you saying that if you are a rep member, that there's no money in the house? See, you can walk into the house of rep and become a billionaire to the same day, but you can also walk into the house and become the poorest guy, better than worse than you entered. There are so many things that are wrong in this country, and we must pay attention to it. Look, does Nigeria deserve? There are many topics that we should be talking about. Does Nigeria deserve the two houses that we're operating today, where you have NDDC committee in rep, you have NDDC committee in Senate, you have appropriation in Senate, you have appropriation in rep, you have a committee on finance in rep, you have in Senate, you have committee in agric in rep. Do we really need all these things, in this country? Can we sit down, and say we have appropriated finances for the right thing, to be done? I ask myself, do we need a coastal road? I mean, I'm from the Niger Delta, and of course, I don't mind, easy, movement. But right now in Nigeria today, do we really need a coastal road? If I tell you guys the debate or the argument as to the Prado they gave to us that first time, we enter, you will know there were a lot of talk that went into that Prado, not just the story that we're coming out like that. Do we really need, at every 4 years, 360 members and then 109 members with Prado, all in the same House of Assemblies, and the governors, everybody, a Prado that we are not even assembly and manufacturing in Nigeria? Do we really need it? So look, Nigeria, the day Nigeria will get a prudent person to manage our resources, that is the day we will get there. I don't care where I find myself. At 60 years, where I'm going is nearer. It's not today that I'm going to build a house or where to sleep or to drive a car for fashion, or as the case may be, like that. So, look, the pain is so much. My first child is 26 years old. What future has that child? What are they? What are we leaving for them? So continuous discussion. Sometimes I say, look, why not at the slightest provocation, I just walked away. I've said on the floor of the house that the day I get angry, anybody threaten me, I resigned from a committee, finance committee. That was 1990. That was happening as oversight, and I pulled out. And they threatened that they were going to, because I used the word that I cannot become, a member of this committee in a dog-eat-dog assembly. Oh, they now said they must send me to ethics and privileges. Excuse me, the day you send me to ethics and privileges, that day I will go to my house and sit down. But Nigerians will know exactly, the truth of the matter, so that people don't turn out to blackmail me. Look, there's so many things, to change in Nigeria. We must change our mindset, on it, and also to remain resolute. We made a mistake in 1999. We didn't show interest. We never thought military was going to hand over power. So some guys came into the space and dominated it. and they are making it difficult for good people to come. The young guys in Nigeria today, the guys that are below, especially 45 below, take interest in what is happening, in your country. You ask some people today, who are your senators? They don't know. Who your rep member? They don't know. Who your ministers is in certain places? They don't know. Nigeria must find a way, to get back on track. The work done by our forefathers, Awolowo and Kiwe, Tafawa, they are selfless works. Selfless. Today, somebody will use Nigerian money to buy something for Nigerians. He will say, in the name of constituency project, you will say it is you that did it. Go and use your own money to do it, and come and tell Nigerians that you did one thing. You built one stadium. Somebody was talking about stadium he built. Nigerian money. Meanwhile, we are not even valuing the real contract value to see whether you benefited from it, and you are bragging about it. When somebody talked about our heroes are not being recognized, then somebody went in reply and be saying that I did this, I did hospital, I did it. Which money? Who were you? What were you before you became came to the office? In fact, we should even clamor for many other things, such as the legislators should not be taking salary or allowances. Allowances can be okay. We should go. Let genuine people, let that people who want to make this country better, let them come, and serve. Me, I was motivated to come because my principal, Peter B, we needed to give him assistance. But if he's not going to be there, then there's no business, no fun, because operating with these people as it is, I'd rather join outside and shout from outside, and continue to talk. I will never drop talking. But to serve in the same space with these people who never believe that we should do what is right is what I cannot understand. But because, sorry, if I'm angry, I just talk and keep talking like that. So maybe when we meet another time again, probably my emotions would have been more controlled. We'll talk about how we'll get this country, better. But for now, I thank all of you, especially for the patience, given to me to talk. I thank all of you, for your commitment. Perhaps if it is 2-3 persons, Dr. Mo even said, if we have 50 people like Ben, look, if we have 10, changes will come. I'm telling you the truth. If we have 10, changes will come in that place. Unfortunately, we are not coordinated. There are some good guys there, but bravery, the weapon of financial inducement, and all these stuff, those are the real, reason. Maybe another time we'll talk again. But for now, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all of you. God bless you, and we'll meet again.
Thank you so much, Honorable Benedict Etanabene from Delta, representing 3 constituency there. I sincerely thank you. And like I said, we'll be back about 3 weeks from now, where we're going to look into other technicalities and details, for the emotions, for the insights, for breaking down what you do, for the bills and everything that you're doing. Thank you for also the inspiration. I mean, this is a challenge to the New Nigeria Project and the Obedient Movement. Can we get 10 people there in each of the chambers? Is it possible? If we can do that, then we can begin the change in 2027. And by the way, very quickly as we round up, isn't it curious that when you look at the history of 2023, it wasn't just another election. I believe, is a quiet revolution that was echoed on the ballot boxes, because if you look at the tremor that Mr. Peter Obi caused, somebody who, because we were not even thinking of this strategic kind of engagement that we're having now. He had no political godfather, no governors in his corner, not even a single one, no structure in the traditional sense, yet he commanded over stolen, but 6 million vote. The person there now is said to have 8 million. But look at it, just if you pause and reflect on that, no sitting governor, no elected lawmaker, no entrenched political machinery. He captured the imagination of the people. He won 11 states. including the FCT, in just about 7 months of campaign. No, it is not luck. No, it is not luck. That is the power of belief meeting the hunger of change. Literally, that's what it is. While the old political order, for decades, what they've done is to take control